to this. This is about one of my biggest clients to date. Heather, who's the CEO of a publicly traded company that IPO'd shortly after COVID. She reached out to me in my DMs on Instagram roughly about 4 months before I was introduced to her by a fellow broker of mine in New York by the name of Steve Gold. He told me she had listed her home in LA with an agent, and it had been about 6 months and it hadn't sold, and she wanted a fresh start. So I went to meet her, and she mentioned, of course, that she had reached out to me on Instagram, and I, of course, missed it. She said that she had been following me and my career for years, and that she really appreciated my focus on female empowerment and elevating women in the business. Yeah. So the good news was she liked me because she had been following me for years online, and she never met me. The bad news was I obviously missed that DM, so I had a 25% referral fee that I had to give to Steve. But the client was ultimately mine because of how my strengths informed my pillars that define my brand, and ultimately how I put myself out there in all formats, digitally, socially, on TV, and with my clients. So great, I had a slam dunk, right? I went home, put together the listing agreement, emailed it to her first thing in the morning, and she got back to me that afternoon around 4 p.m. stating that she had received an offer. I was like, yay, great. Take it, run with it, Heather. I'm happy for you. Do what you need to do. Congratulations. She said, well, wait, I still have to find something. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't know what that looked like. She said she wanted a bigger property, so we started looking at properties between 10 and 20 million in LA. Then that wasn't good enough. So I upped the ante. We started looking at 20 to 30 million dollars in LA. Still wasn't enough property for her. So I moved it up to 30 to 40 million dollars. And after about 4 months and a couple offers that were rejected, we ultimately found, we ultimately found, and I showed her, bought and closed on a 57 million, 6.5 acre estate in the center of Los Angeles. Do you know how hard it is to find 6.5 acres in the center of that city? More importantly, do you know what I made on that deal? $1.2 million. I could have made 150 on the listing, but instead, I made 1.2 million. I think the point of that story, you guys, is that deal came to me purely because my brand was authentically mine, and because it was across all platforms that I was on. I stood out to her. Not to everyone else necessarily, but arguably I was good enough for a Forbes Under 40 female CEO. So you can see how this pitch exercise is crucial in creating and informing your brand and sharing that consistently with everyone you come in contact with in all aspects of your marketing, how you present yourself, and who you choose to associate with. There's millions of brokers. In your community, there's thousands. I promise this exercise is imperative to your success. You never know when you're going to meet your next big break or your Heather. Note to self, guys, check your DMs. But this will work and will make you feel like you're getting out of that dog paddling area to stay above water, and instantly you will go to attracting your people everywhere you go. So, what are we going to do? We're going to get the pitch down with the hook, the what, the why, your special sauce, and your call to action. Now we'll go to reframe and refocus. Even though I'm sure you guys are all a little bit worried about why you don't have a pitch prepared, and you should have. Who is sitting here stressed out about something that's happening outside of this room right now? The business that you have going. Thank you. Someone's raising their hand. I was recently on a 3-day retreat with 25 very successful female entrepreneurs. The room was worth about $5 billion collectively. And I was going to get to spend the next 3 days working together. So you'd think I would have been completely invested. Lo and behold, day one, and Tracy's head is not in the game because I was stressed out about what was happening outside of that room. I was wasting the opportunity to be in a room full of collaborative, successful, and let's just call a spade, rich women. And I was worried about the day-to-day. The first speakers, day one, hour one, was a gentleman by the name of Jeff Benton, and his partner was Courtney, and they were from Paragon Performance. They were speaking to us about intelligent energy management. Their core focus of the lecture was to discuss self-awareness and regulation and increase the awareness of our thoughts and emotions. Jeff started the lecture with the same question I pose to you right now. Nearly all of the women in that room raised their hand. So instantly I loved them for feeling as guilty as I was. And after we put our hands down, devastated that we had failed the test of the first 3 days of many, he said, you guys have the ability to refocus and reframe that stress every single day. And he played a video that completely changed my mindset in that moment from stress, disconnected and antsy, to present, calm, and positive in a matter of 2 minutes. I'd like to see if this video works for you guys. Let's see.
Grace Athena High School in Rochester, New York has a new, most unlikely hero, a special ed student by the name of Jason McElwain.
Let's keep it going.
Jason is the basketball team manager. For the past couple years, he's been assisting Coach Jim Johnson, helping with whatever the team needs.
And go! Get him motivated and hand out water and just be enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic, to say the least. Despite being born with autism, Jason's father says his son has never had a problem expressing himself at basketball games.
I was always concerned that he might get a technical and they lose a game because he, start yelling or whatever.
Let's have a hard practice tomorrow, all hour and a half, and let's get ready for Arcadia. Let's go.
1, 2, 3, 2. Because he has been so devoted to the team, for the last game of the season, Coach Johnson decided to let Jason actually suit up. Not to play necessarily, just to let him feel what it's like to wear a jersey.
At least that was the plan. But with 4 minutes to go in last week's game, Coach Johnson stood up and pointed to number 52, Jason McElwain. After years of fetching water and toweling off other people's sweat, Jason was actually in a game. His first shot was a 20-footer from the right baseline.
Was it close? Did you almost make it?
I just airballed it.
I'm like, just, dear God, please, let's just get him a basket.
His second shot missed too, but the third was a chunker. A 3-point no-doubter. And Jason wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot.
If I wasn't there to witness it, I wouldn't have lived it,
You caught fire.
I just caught fire. I was hot as a pistol.
Jason ended up shooting 6 3-pointers. One right after the other. He had 20 points total, and each time a shot went in, his teammates and the crowd went a little crazier. His last basket, right at the buzzer, created total mayhem. Because he is autistic, Jason says he's used to feeling different, but never this different. Never this wonderful.
I mean, how can you not love a story like that? We all feel better and more positive, don't we? And we have the chance at every moment to reframe that kind of stress so that we're not constantly living in survival mode. We can think about what to do next. It doesn't have to be a video, you guys. It could be a song, a physical activity, a phone call to a boss, colleague, or friend, or even your mom. So we're going to do this refocusing in real time. I want you to think about the recurring issues that are most stressful to you. What brings you the most stress in your life on a daily basis? If you can have self-awareness around that stress, identify them clearly, you can shift from a defeatist mindset to one that is heart-led and positive. One of my greatest stresses are my daughters. No shock there, teenage girls. They're obviously fabulous young women, aren't they? But the disconnection with my daughters as a working mom stresses me out. My job demands a lot from me. Travel, long hours, working vacations, missing dinners, games, activities. It's a constant battle of me feeling like I'm not good enough, I'm not there enough, and I'm not doing enough. So how do I reframe and refocus that? Well, they're thriving at school and in their relationships with their friends and their family. They're doing it independently without me hovering over them every step of the way. So wouldn't it be better for me to be proud of their independence? My daughter, the blonde one, Juliet, came to me after a really difficult couple of weeks that I had. I was launching a portfolio in Malibu that was worth about $500 million. I had 2 weeks of prep for it, and I hadn't slept more than 2 hours in the better part of 14 days. So I was an absolute mess because I had missed one of her games. And I was plunging into a full mental breakdown because I thought I was just a terrible mom. And she said to me, "Mama, I see how hard you're working to elevate my life and Scarlett's life and our family experience. I don't need you at school because you're the one who taught me how to be independent. I'm good. So why don't you go out and kill that pitch and launch that property and do your best not to kill yourself doing it." That was such a lesson from a 17-year-old nonetheless on how to refocus and reframe a massive stress that was a part of my life, and I owe that to my daughter, Juliet. This is my team. I'm constantly worrying in business about how everyone on my team isn't getting enough from me, from guidance and coaching every day. I mean, that's the reason they joined my team, right? They wanted my guidance, and it kills me not to be able to give that to them every single day. But to reframe that negative thought, I can make a decision to say, I'm only one person. I'm gonna put the right people in place to make sure that my team is supported. Cody, who you guys met earlier, bless his heart, is my director of operations, checks in on them every single Monday and Friday, helps them set their intentions for the week, checks back in with them on Friday, and Andres, my director of marketing, is available to them at any time for all of their marketing needs. So that I get to focus on what I'm good at, which is walking into a room, owning it, and turning a lead into a client. So this reframing can help you see how to better deal with these negative stresses. We have to reformat how we are thinking about it. Let's look at some other examples. From business is slow to I have time to get my infrastructure in place for when it's busy. From I'm working too much to I have the opportunity to choose differently and avoid burnout. From they're a pain in my tush to what can I do differently that teaches me something new about myself and about them. When we refocus like this, we get out of those everyday stresses that can debilitate us. And when we're stressed, we're in a defensive survival mode. And what does that do, guys? It pushes clients away, team members away, friends and family away. It affects our health, our well-being. And ultimately, long-term goals and thinking are impacted by short-term stress and debilitation. So when we reframe and refocus, we have the ability to have a more positive outlook on our daily stresses, and we become more creative and solution-oriented. I'm here doing this work with you. Believe me, I constantly have to refocus. Because there's always going to be extraneous circumstances that enter our lives every single day. And it's being able to refocus and reframe those stresses that are going to separate you from the average age of just trying to make it to 5 p.m. When we're able to reframe and refocus, we can be the true savages that we are. I want to talk about that. Let's get gritty and be a savage. A 2.0 version of my book, Fear is Just a 4-letter word. Have you guys ever woken up in a situation and wondered, how did I get here? I think we all have. I like to think I have a lot of control in my life, and we all do. But there are some people, clients, and ultimately full stages of my existence where it required perseverance. There are days, many of them, that I get to my wit's end. However, I don't snap my fingers and get to make it go away. Equally, I don't want to be miserable every day that I'm in these situations that I'd rather not be. The one thing you do get to choose, we all do, is how you want to deal with whatever storm is coming your way. And I choose grit. Grit to me is perseverance without totally hating yourself. You know, when you watch a marathon runner and some of them look like they're out for slaughter and others look like they're having the time of their life, it's always been a trip to me watching them running 100-mile races like they're taking their dog for like a jog around the block. Life is going to be hard. Work is going to be hard. Some days you're going to wake up and you're going to have an attitude and you're going to lose your cool. I get it. Listen, I experience it all the time. But it's having the ability to refocus that negative experience and not let that person take me down. Because it's up to me to bring my personality and energy into all the rooms that I walk into. Even if I'm up to my eyeballs with a crazy client, you don't get to quit. That mental toughness that you'll learn from understanding how to show up, well, that's going to make you a bigger boss than the proverbial easy road ever will. Part of grit, though, is getting creative in order to endure. That creativity and shifting from surviving to thriving is what separates you from everyone else. In California, deals fall through all the time. Getting the offer accepted is oftentimes the easiest part. Getting to the finish line and through escrow and getting that money is a whole nother story. You gotta fight for every penny. I had a seller say to me just last week, Tracy, I have never seen someone fight so hard for me in my entire life. What a compliment. I mean, that maybe was one of the best compliments I've ever received, because that makes me the ultimate salesperson, because I love that chase, and he recognized that. You can't take a shut door as a shut door. You have to choose to see the same situation from an entirely different perspective so that you can find the hole before agreeing to someone else's terms or demands. By the way, this is very learnable. You have to be willing to focus on the crack and look for that open window when everybody else is arguably looking at the closed door. The best way to figure that out is by asking a lot of questions of all the people that you're working with, because the more information you have, the more you're going to be able to see who's vulnerable and why. You could understand more of the pieces going on around you if you're taking the time to ask the right questions. Get people to talk. They love it. They can't stop talking to myself. And while they're talking, you're figuring out what makes them vulnerable, and for them, it's too late. And you now get to use it to your advantage. Not only is it going to set you apart, but it's going to help you persevere in situations where others would normally quit. Because you're the one that's getting more creative, and you're that much more of a savage than the agent walking out of the listing appointment that you're walking into. And do you know what that will make you? Not just successful, sought after. People who persevere and don't accept no because they're run off by fear of a roadblock or an obstacle, those are the people that win. They're energized by it. For me, no doesn't mean no. It means I just haven't found the way to the yes yet. No matter how many twists and turns along the way, and trust me, there will be many, it doesn't come with directions. You have to seek them out. And things will never be handed to you. As I've mentioned, since I was a little girl, my mom and dad would freely admit this, I never really took no for an answer. I mean, I still don't, but I also don't expect things to fall in my lap. I do see, though, with a few of the younger agents in the industry, they have a sense of entitlement. And I think that's due in part to the glamorization of selling luxury real estate. Shows like mine, $1 Million Listing, make it seem like we all just walk into these rooms, right? We wear the right outfit, have the right car, maybe we've got a couple 100,000 Instagram followers, and the deal just closes 2 weeks later. Now, clearly, shows like mine have had a profound effect on the industry and the lack of knowledge that agents are expected to know. And it ain't right. The only way that they ever learn how wrong they are is when the carpet is pulled right out from underneath them. It's a lesson. I've been there myself.